They said I was no longer family at dinner, then used my name to commit $25,000 fraud. Hi, I'm Jasper, 32, and 6 months ago my family tried to erase me from the family photo. Literally, they had no idea I kept every receipt, every text, every transfer, and I didn't come to the family barbecue with potato salad. I came with the USB stick. There's a photo on my mom's fireplace mantle that still haunts me. Thanksgiving dinner, 6 years ago. Everyone's smiling me. Parents, my sisters, their husbands. Classic Hallmark holiday vibes. But if you look closer, you'll see it. I'm sitting just slightly out of frame, not enough to be obvious, just off, like I was already being nudged out. That photo became a metaphor. At the time, I didn't see it. I thought I was part of the family, the dependable one, the peacemaker, the guy who never asked for anything and picked up the check before anyone even reached for their wallet. My name's Jasper. I run a small IT consulting business, me and a few freelancers. Nothing fancy, but I built it from scratch, one client at a time. I'm the youngest of three. Meredith, the oldest, 38, who acts like a CEO even when she's just ordering Starbucks. And Ela, 35, a nurse with a decent heart and a spine made of warm jello. Meredith married Brett 6 years ago. Picture a vape pen in human form, with a trust fund haircut and the business sense of a wet towel. He's a serial entrepreneur, which is family code for he spends money other people earned and calls it vision. Their latest disaster, a failed crypto vending machine startup. Yep, vending machines. For crypto. Don't ask. When that flopped shockingly, they were thousands underwater and crying to my mom that they'd lose the house. And mom? Well, she's always been Meredith's biggest fan. Maybe it's the grandkids. Maybe it's just easier to nod along than fight the storm in heels. Either way, she calls me, her voice? Sweet, practiced, manipulative. Jasper, sweetheart. They're drowning. Can you help them? Just this once? Spoiler, I'd already helped. 10 grand for their down payment 3 years ago. A couple grand for Brett's networking conference in Vegas, which looked a lot like a 3-day blackjack binge from the Instagram stories he forgot I could see. This time, I said no, and that was it. That one word pulled the last thread. No fights, no screaming, just silence. The group chat dim. Invitations stopped. Facebook photos of family dinners I was never told about. Ela? She sent one half-hearted, I'm trying not to take sides text, and then disappeared too. I thought maybe I was imagining it. Maybe I was being sensitive. So I showed up for mom's birthday dinner. Same Italian place as always. Clean button up. Brought her a bottle of her favorite wine, and it felt like I walked into a funeral where I was the dead guy. Meredith's glance could have curdled milk. Brett didn't look up from his phone. Mom hugged me like a coworker she forgot to invite to lunch. Then came dessert. Meredith tapped her glass. A toast, she said, to family. She smiled, eyes locked on me. To those who lift us up, and those who kick us while we're down. To loyalty, to people who turn their backs on blood. You're no longer part of this family, Jasper. Not in my eyes, not in Brett's, honestly. Probably not in anyone's. And then she sat down. The table applauded. Except Ela. Except Aaron. Even the waiter looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. I didn't say a word. Just nodded. Handed the server my card. Placed the wine in front of mom. And walked out. Except. The manager followed me out. Sir, your card was declined. It wasn't. That night, I sat in my car staring at the dashboard. I checked my account. Full. Called the bank. No issues. Which meant someone had lied. And that's when something snapped. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the steering wheel. I just got quiet. And then, I started planning. The next morning, I got a text from mom. Hope you're not planning to come to Easter brunch. Things are tense. Maybe take some space. Space. That's all I'd ever given them. Space to take. Space to disrespect. Space to pretend I was a wallet with ears. Then came Ela's message. I don't agree with how that went down. I'm sorry. Aaron is too. Nice. A moral shrug wrapped in soft guilt. Still stung though. But the kicker? A call from a debt collector, asking for Brett. Apparently, my name had been listed as his business associate on a loan for $25,000. I told the guy I hadn't spoken to Brett in months. He offered to send the documentation. I said sure. An hour later, I opened the email and nearly threw up. There it was, a PDF agreement digitally signed by me. Except I hadn't signed it. And the email? Jasper.hexolions.net missing the U in solutions. A spoof domain. I called my old college buddy Derek, cybersecurity whiz turned private digital investigator. Can you find who registered that fake domain? He said, give him 3 days. Meanwhile, I pulled every receipt I had. $10,000 down payment. $2,200 for rent during COVID, $750. Car repair $600. Plane tickets $24 in. Kombucha samples. I still don't understand total. $36,840. Not including time, silence, or dignity. Then Derek called. Domain was bought anonymously, but the recovery email. bray_m1984@somewhere.com. It was Brett. He faked the email. Forged the contract. Used it to get a loan under my name. I should have gone to the cops. Should have lawyered up then and there, but no. I wanted to know how deep the rot went. So I stayed quiet. Didn't answer mom's guilt calls. Didn't like Hila's photos of her kids. Didn't reply when dad left a voicemail saying, I think we all just need to cool off. And then, the real betrayal hit. My business account got frozen. Formal fraud complaint. Wire fraud. Financial misrepresentation. Filed by BH Holdings, the same phony company Brett and Meredith had set up. I called Hila in a panic. Did Meredith ever say anything about me stealing? Pause. She said something at mom's, that you were shady with money, that she was going to get back what was owed. I sat in silence. They're trying to ruin me, Hila. I didn't know, Jasper. I swear, but I knew. They weren't just nudging me out of the photo anymore. They were framing me. And that's when I called the lawyer. Because this wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was war. Carla didn't waste time. Sharp-eyed, mid-40s, former federal prosecutor. The kind of woman who could flay a man with a post-it and a stare. She flipped through the stack of documents. I brought printouts of the fake contract, the spoofed email, the domain records, bank statements. My old texts with mom practically begging me to just help a little. Her verdict? They were counting on you backing down because you're family. You sure you're ready to stop being nice? I didn't hesitate. I want them to feel it, to understand what it's like to have something they built collapse, because someone they trusted saw them as disposable. Carla nodded. Good. Because this is criminal. That night, I transformed my guest room into a war room. Corkboard, red thread, timelines, labeled folders, fake contract dead center with a sticky note. The parasite. Meanwhile, my business account stayed locked. One client pulled out. A big one. San Diego startup. Said they'd circle back in Q3, which is corporate for, we're out. Savings could stretch maybe 5 months. 6. If I stopped eating real food. So I pivoted. Fast. Registered a new LLC. Blue Ridge Digital. Named after a hiking trail my grandfather took me on as a kid. Felt clean. Rooted. Mine. Reached out to old clients one by one. No pity plays. Just the truth. To my shock, most of them already knew something was off. We figured something weird was happening, one said. You've always been solid. We'll wait. Another wired me a retainer up front. Call it a vote of confidence. And for what it's worth, Brett's a clown. I hadn't realized how much I mattered to people outside my own blood. How respected I was everywhere except home. Hila sent a letter, handwritten, said she was sorry, that she'd been a coward, that she knew staying neutral wasn't the same as staying moral. I didn't reply, but I didn't throw it away either. 3 weeks later, Blue Ridge Digital landed its first contract, a logistics startup. Simple dashboard build. They didn't care about my drama. They wanted clean code and someone who picked up the phone. I gave them both, and then, like divine timing, mom sent an email. Subject line, Family BBQ this Sunday. No mention of the lawsuit. No apology. Just bring a chair. I almost deleted it. Almost laughed. But then I had an idea. A perfect, terrible idea. Because Brett would be there. So would Meredith. And probably the neighbors, old coworkers, family friends. The ones who still saw them as the suburban dream team. What better place To light the match, the day of the barbecue felt like walking into a battlefield wearing cologne instead of armor. I arrived 10 minutes early, wearing a navy button-up that said, "I'm calm. But please underestimate me." The sun was brutal, the air sticky, the kind of heat that makes tempers short and honesty longer. Mom opened the door with a sing-song, "Jasper, what a surprise." Like we hadn't spent the last 2 months pretending I was a ghost haunting the family group chat. Inside, kids running, grill smoke drifting through the open windows. The same acoustic playlist Mom uses when she wants everyone to think everything is fine. Meredith was in the backyard laughing a little too loudly, drink in hand. Brett held court beside her in a hideous Hawaiian shirt, performing confidence for a crowd that didn't know he'd used my name to get a fraudulent loan. I stayed inside, waiting for the moment. I didn't want drama. I wanted witnesses. Around PM, reached into the cooler for a bottle of water. Behind me. Well, look who crawled out of his hole. Brett. He swaggered over with 2 of Dad's old coworkers behind him. He smelled like overpriced IPA and overinflated ego. "Didn't expect you here after your little meltdown," he smirked. "What was it again?" "Oh, your card declined." The 2 guys chuckled, sheepishly, like they sensed they were laughing in the wrong scene, but didn't know why. I took a slow sip of water. "That's right," I said. "I probably should have checked my accounts more closely." He blinked. He wasn't expecting me to play along. "Hope you're not here to beg," he added. "Bit late for that." I stepped closer, just enough so only he could hear. "I'm not here to beg, Brett. I'm here to return the favor." His smile faltered for the first time. I walked past him, into the house. "Mom, can I borrow your laptop?" I asked. She froze mid-fruit tray arrangement. What for?" "5 minutes," I said. Something in my voice must have told her this wasn't a recipe video. Curiosity spread like wildfire. One aunt walked in, then a neighbor, then half the backyard drifted in. Conversations dying down as people saw me plugging a USB drive into the laptop like it was a grenade. I opened a file titled, BH Holdings The Truth, Slide 1 A Real Email, vs. The Forged One. Whispers. Slide 2. The Fake Contract with My Forged Signature. Gasps. Slide 3. Domain registration records tying the spoofed address back to Brett's burner email. Someone stepped away from him. Literally stepped away. Slide 4. Meredith's cheerful LinkedIn post announcing BH Holdings the week they froze my business account. By the time the black screen appeared, imagine what else they've lied about. The room was dead silent. I turned to Brett. "You used my name, my identity, my business. You tried to ruin me." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Meredith sputtered. "This is taken out of context." Then a voice from the crowd cut through everything. It was Ela. "Shut up." Everyone turned. "I'm done pretending," she said, trembling but loud. "You 2 have been lying for years. Mom, Dad, you let them. You wanted to believe Jasper was the villain. Because it was easier." Looked. Slapped. Meredith looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her. Brett looked like someone had unplugged him. I closed the laptop, slipped the USB back into my pocket. "I'm not here for revenge," I said. "Just the truth. What you do with it, up to you." Then I walked out, through the stunned kitchen, past the silent backyard, out into the warm, fading sunlight. Behind me, Brett yelled, voice cracking, "This is slander. He's making it all up." But even he could hear it. Nobody believed him anymore, and the fuse I'd lit, it wasn't even close to done burning. The barbecue wasn't the climax. It was the spark. The next morning, the fallout began. First was Carl, the guy laughing at Brett's jokes at the grill. I didn't know it then, but Carl was Meredith's direct supervisor at her real estate firm. 2 days after the BBQ, Ela texted me, "You won't believe this." Carl opened an internal review. Apparently, Meredith's been fudging numbers for months. Clients, timelines, listings. He just needed an excuse to dig. That excuse? My USB. Passed around discreetly among staff. Quietly devastated. Meanwhile, Brett's consulting empire unraveled like cheap thread. See, Derek, my cybersecurity friend, may or may not have shared a version of the slideshow in a few professional Slack groups and entrepreneur discords. A few words, heads up. Possible fraudster in tech circles. Cross-check if you've ever heard of BH Holdings. That was it. Turns out when a guy with Brett's reputation idea guy, no follow through, always needing someone else's credit card shows up in those channels with fraud attached to his name. Bridges burn fast. 2 investors pulled out of his upcoming AI fitness app. Yes, that was his next grift. 3 companies removed him from their advisory boards within a week. He posted a vague tweet about being targeted by jealousy and lies. It got 2 likes. One was from a bot. Meredith, meanwhile, was cracking publicly. Facebook status: when your own brother stabs you in the back for clout, remember, snakes always show their skin eventually. Comments weren't kind. One old classmate: is this about the slideshow at the BBQ? My aunt was there. Yikes. Then it happened. The real blow. Carla, my lawyer, called. They just made an offer, she said. Real one. Full retraction of the fraud charges, apology letter, restitution for legal costs, lost income. If you sign, it ends here. I leaned back. My coffee had gone cold. Outside, the sun was setting and casting everything gold. Do they admit to forgery? I asked. No, Carla said. But we don't need them to. We have the metadata, the domain TIs, everything. This is them trying to put the fire out. I stared at the wall. I could have said yes. Could have ended it right there. But instead, I said, no, yet. Carla paused. You want to take it to court? Not necessarily, I said. I want to keep the pressure. Let them squirm. Let people ask questions. I don't need justice fast. I need it thorough, she chuckled. You sure you're the same guy who used to cover their car payments in silence? No, I said. That guy's gone. He burned up at an Italian restaurant over tiramisu, and I meant it, because now, I wasn't just defending myself, I was pulling the curtain back on the golden daughter, the visionary husband, and letting the world see what I'd known for years. They were termites, and I was done pretending the house wasn't hollow. By early September, the cracks had turned into a cave-in. Carla filed formal charges: criminal identity theft, forgery, wire fraud, defamation. We had everything: IP logs, metadata, timestamps, Brett's fake contract with the spoofed email, Meredith's edits in the document history, and the cherry on top? She'd used her work laptop to open the burner domain. You can't fix that with the Notes app apology. Police didn't storm in with sirens, that's TV nonsense. But they did knock. Quiet, early, methodical. They confiscated Brett's laptop, phone, and pulled financials. Then they subpoenaed Meredith's emails. Turns out she was deeper in than I thought. She hadn't just supported Brett, she'd coordinated. She drafted the fake contract, submitted the fraud report to my bank from their shared IP address at 2:14 a.m. on a Tuesday, and like Carla said, only real villains do paperwork at 2 a.m. Brett was arrested. Posted bail, of course, but that didn't stop the story from spreading. Meredith was named an accessory, charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. That's when the dam burst. Her firm suspended her within 24 hours. Fired her a week later. Turns out she'd already been under review for manipulating listing info. The USB didn't just expose her, it validated every rumor. Brett's consulting license? Revoked, pending trial, and my parents? Oh, now they wanted to talk. Mom left a voicemail. Jasper, this has gone too far. You've made your point. Please don't destroy your sister's life over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. She really said that. Then, Dad, we need to talk. Family is family. This isn't the way. The same man who clapped when Meredith toasted to my exile now wanted unity? I didn't answer. I'd heard their silence when I needed a voice. Now, they could sit in it. The only one who came in person was Ela. She knocked on my door one October evening, holding 2 coffees. We sat on my tiny balcony, the skyline orange behind her. I read the charges, she said. It's brutal. They earned every word. She nodded. You okay? I am now, I said, and I meant it. Blue Ridge Digital was thriving. The client who pulled out during the fraud scare. They came back with more work. I hired 2 part-time devs and a virtual assistant. Even rented a shared office in a loft with brick walls and good light. The kind of space that feels earned. But I wasn't done yet. I still had one last card. Remember that USB from the barbecue? The 4-slide truth bomb? I'd made another version, cleaner, expanded. It included Meredith's text to Brett. We'll say he offered to help and went back on it. Screenshots of her Venmo request to me a year ago titled, "Emergency for Brett's Startup, lol." A PDF of the criminal complaint and one final page. White text on black. Sometimes family doesn't fail you all at once. They do it in quiet pieces. Until the silence becomes betrayal. Printed 50 copies. Sleek black folders. Then mailed them anonymously. To Meredith's old clients. To Brett's former investors. To the HOA board, where Brett once gave a speech about financial literacy. Even to my parents'. No signature. No drama. Just the truth. Folded neatly. Delivered quietly. Impossible to ignore. The fallout wasn't a bang. It was a slow, relentless hum like a ceiling fan you didn't notice until it started falling apart. It started with whispers. One of Meredith's former clients posted in a private real estate forum, "Anyone else get this folder?" Replies flooded in. "Yeah, I thought it was a prank. Mine had her signature next to a fake invoice. I canceled a deal with her last year. Now know why it went sideways." Then came Brett's downfall in waves. One of the HOA board members, the guy who'd once called Brett a future city councilman, posted the folder on Facebook with the caption, "Turns out our finance guy was faking contracts and using his brother's name." Let that sink in. By the end of the week, 3 podcasts picked up the story. Not big ones, but niche tech industry shows where Brett had once guested. They played the slideshow like it was a TED Talk on karma. One of the hosts said, "I've interviewed that guy. He brought flashcards and a Bluetooth speaker. I should have known." Meredith tried to spin it. She went on a defensive Facebook rant. "My brother is obsessed with destroying my life. He's always been jealous. This is a coordinated attack. I won't be silenced." But the replies weren't buying it anymore. Hila commented just once. "You silenced him for years. Now, he's finally speaking." It got over 800 likes. As for me, I watched it all from the quiet of my apartment. No gloating, no posts. Just coffee in hand and a clear inbox. The best part? A week later, got a letter. Certified mail. A full written apology. From Meredith. 3 pages. She didn't admit everything, but she didn't deny it either. The closing line. "I hope one day you can forgive me. I understand. If you can't, I lost control. And you lost trust. I'll carry that." I didn't reply, because forgiveness? That's not something you ask for. It's something you earn. And some debts don't get paid in words. They haven't spoken to me since. Not really. Mom sent a birthday card 2 weeks late. No note inside. Just my name, Mom and Dad, and a $20 Starbucks gift card. I didn't even drink Starbucks anymore. I used it to buy a hot chocolate and left the rest for the next person in line. Meredith moved out of state. Some fresh start post on Instagram, trying to rebrand her downfall as a glow up. Comments are off. Brett, no idea. His LinkedIn says consultant, but everyone in the circles that mattered knows. He's a punchline now. A walking cautionary tale with Wi-Fi. And me? Blue Ridge Digital is thriving. I hired 2 more developers. We landed a contract with a logistics firm overseas. I got business cards printed not because I needed them, but because holding one in my hand felt like closure. Hila visits once a month. We go for coffee, sometimes a hike. No long talks about the past. Just presence. The kind you don't realize you missed until you have it back. She never asks for forgiveness. She just shows up. That's enough. As for the War Room corkboard, red string, folder labeled, "The Parasite," it's gone. Packed away. Not burned. Not shredded. Just stored. A reminder. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means knowing exactly what happened, and still choosing not to carry it every day. There's a new photo on my mantle now. Just me, sitting on a bench overlooking the Blue Ridge Trail, thermos in hand, wind in my face. I'm not smiling big, no dramatic pose, but I'm centered. Not off to the side. Not cropped out. Centered. Present. Whole. I didn't win through revenge. I didn't need applause. I just told the truth loud enough for the silence to break. And now, I get to live in that silence. Peaceful. Unbothered. Free. And best of all, that old photo on Mom's mantle? It finally makes sense. They didn't push me out of the frame. I walked out of it myself.